Tonight on KGW News, a rare sight on the coast as a tornado blows through.
And I looked outside and the fence kind of lifted off the ground.
Plus, why the family of a slain security guard are blaming his death on the hospital where he worked.
It was a preventable incident.
Then, cases of whooping cough make a huge jump in Clark County. Why health officials say it may be hard to know you have it when you're most contagious. And later,
we just don't feel like they hear us.
The big sticking points that appear to be keeping teachers in Albany on the picket lines for the first time in nearly 40 years. First at 11, stormy weather is in full force along the coast. This is a live look at Newport, and from there, points north and south. Strong winds have been stirring up the surf so much tonight the Coast Guard shut down most of the bar crossings out to the open ocean. Thanks for joining us. David Molko here along with Chief Meteorologist Matt Safina. So Matt, what are you seeing right now?
You know, it's interesting, David, because the winds in Portland really aren't that bad, and I don't think they will be until we get into the early morning hours. I'll explain why in a minute. But we have no rain at the moment downtown, and the winds are out of the east at the airport at 16 miles an hour. They won't really get much stronger until the morning hours. So let's go out to the Oregon coast. We'll do that in a minute. But first on the radar, you see there's really not that much rain over the valleys right now. We're getting a bit of a break as low pressure forms down off the southern Oregon coast and kind of gathers all the energy down there. But parts of the coast, like Newport, are blowing and blowing strongly, sustained at 25, gusts of nearly 50 miles an hour within the last hour. So that central coast will be the windiest area overnight tonight, and then expanding north to the north coast later on during the morning hours. Look at the Portland area, though. East winds at Hillsborough, east winds at the airport, east winds at Troutdale. And because of where this low pressure is, we're going to maintain that east wind, which will keep us from getting the strong southerly winds until the front goes through tomorrow morning. The pressure pattern changes. South winds in Eugene and Salem, not that strong. You can see the difference, though, in the direction, and that's kind of key as to when we're going to get our strongest winds in the valley. We still have a wind advisory till 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. I wouldn't be surprised if the timing on that shifts to maybe extending it to 8 a.m., and then the winds will begin to back off. And then the high wind warning on the coast also until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. We also have this flood advisory because we're going to get a period of heavy rain with all the leaves that are down. There are clogged storm drains that may cause some intersection flooding, some low-lying flooding, some of the some of the roadways. It shouldn't be that big of a deal, but there may be some big ponding of water on the roadways for the morning commute. So look at this. You can see the east wind at Portland. This is tonight, right? East wind still at 7:15 in the morning, while Salem and Corvallis are blowing strongly out of the south, as is the coast, 38 miles an hour that are Astoria. And these are sustained, not the gusts necessarily. But then as we go into the later morning hours, there's the south wind kicking in Portland. We finally get it about 8, 9 o'clock. It'll be a blustery day tomorrow for sure. So becoming windy in the valleys overnight. Windy in the Portland area in the morning hours, let's say 7 to 10 a.m. Urban storm drain flooding is possible. And we've got another chance at those coastal funnel clouds and waterspouts tomorrow afternoon, like we had last night. Weather Service did a survey of that system and are calling it an EF 0. That's the lowest on the enhanced Fujita scale, 65 to 85 mile an hour winds. This one probably the higher end, about 85 mile an hour winds. The path was a quarter mile long, 150 yards wide, and of course it did do some damage. David?
Yeah, thank you, Matt. We're going to show you some surveillance video now of what appears to be that tornado hitting Rockaway Beach last night. You can see the dumpster blowing across a parking lot, garage doors and windows busted out. This video was taken from a school district office. The superintendent there says they sustained some $200,000 in damage.
It's really shocking to see the video and then just to kind of wake up to this morning. We don't normally see this in Rockaway. Basically from the ocean, came in and basically blew all these doors open into, this is our pole barn where we kind of have a vehicle stored in here.
No kidding. The storm also took out what appears to be a garage and knocked down a fence at a home nearby. Developing tonight, investigators are working to figure out what happened in the moments before a man was hit and killed by a MAX train. Catherine Cook has the latest.
Investigators tell us the victim was part of a construction crew that was working here on Northeast 141st and Burnside. They tell us he was hit and killed by a MAX train around 2 o'clock. Why he was on the tracks at that moment is under investigation. Caution tape strung across East Burnside at 141st Avenue. It marked the scene of a deadly Max crash Tuesday afternoon.
Our thoughts are with everybody involved right now.
TriMet spokesperson Tyler Graff says just after 2, a Max train hit and killed a man crossing the tracks here.
The operator was stopped the train as quickly as they could.
Both TriMet and the Sheriff's Office Transit Police Division are investigating the crash. They say the victim had been working on this construction site near the tracks.
For some reason, which we don't know at the moment, but we are investigating, is this individual went onto the track.
TriMet halted Max service for several hours, shuttling riders by bus. They don't know how this crash unfolded, but they're always stressing safety. They urge people to look both ways before crossing the tracks and avoid wearing earbuds.
So we're going to do the best that we can in the investigation to find out why that happened and, if it was avoidable.
By mid-evening, the Max train moved on and streets reopened. The caution tape is gone, but questions over lost life remain. In Northeast Portland, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines, Coos County Sheriff's deputies have found the body of a missing 5-year-old, they say, less than 2 miles from his home. Authorities say Joshua McCoy, who lives with autism, was reported missing on Saturday while his mother was napping. Deputies say their investigation is ongoing. In St. Helens, a current and former high school teacher have been arrested on sex abuse charges. Detectives arrested 46-year-old Eric Stearns and 64-year-old Mark Collins as part of a months-long investigation. Stearns is a current teacher while Collins is retired. Investigators say the alleged abuse happened between 2015 and 2020 at St. Helens High. Multiple former student victims have been identified, and police say they worry there could be others. And President-elect Trump continues to line up top cabinet positions and advisors. Today, he tapped Tesla CEO Elon Musk and former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy to lead what he said would be called the Department of Government Efficiency. Trump said it would exist outside of government, giving advice to those in the White House about overhauling federal agencies. The family of a security guard shot and killed at a Portland hospital is now suing Legacy Health for $35 million. Attorneys claim the hospital's failure to remove a dangerous visitor led to that guard's death. Alma McCarty has the update from Northwest Portland.
Back in July 2023, Bobby Smallwood, who was working as a security guard for Legacy, was told to wait with a man while other staff searched his partner's room. That man ended up shooting and killing him. To understand what led up to this deadly shooting, attorney Tom Diamore says go back 3 days prior, when a man named Pontiac's Cal's first showed up.
His significant other was staying at the hospital, about to have a baby. From the time he came in on July 19th through the 22nd, he exhibited signs of violence, pretty explicit threats, verbal threats against folks.
According to the newly filed lawsuit, hospital staff wrote up 5 separate incident reports documenting this, including an attempt to strike a nurse. Cowles also allegedly said, if you guys keep acting like this, someone is going to get killed around here. Diamore says hospital staff eventually searched his partner's room, finding 2 guns. She told them he likely had a third.
There was probably a third gun that was in the possession of the suspect.
But the lawsuit claims no one told Bobby Smallwood until minutes before.
Eventually pulled out his gun, shot Mr. Smallwood in the neck area.
Police searched for hours after the deadly shooting, finding the suspect in Gresham, where officers shot and killed him following a confrontation. Now, Smallwood's family is seeking accountability to what they call the hospital's systemic safety failures, like only placing metal detectors at one entrance and failing to enforce their own protocols. They're suing Legacy Health for $35 million.
They just feel like there was no justification for this loss of life. Could have easily been prevented by following procedures.
The lawsuit also alleges that security staff discussed calling a code silver, an active shooter alert, after learning Cowles, the suspect, was probably armed, but ultimately didn't do so until after Smallwood was shot. We reached out to Legacy Health, and they responded, letting us know they could not comment on pending litigation. In Northwest Portland, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
In Clackamas County tonight, the Oregonian projects Melissa Fireside will win the race for position 4 on the county commission. Fireside, a small business owner who once ran for Lake Oswego City Council, unseating incumbent Mark Shaw, who has a history of making racist and other controversial comments early in his tenure.